This is Dr. Reuben Chen, and welcome to the Vital Signs Podcast. Hi, this is Dr. Reuben Chen. Welcome to another Vital Signs Podcast. We have a very special guest here today with, I feel like, a very unique set of life experiences. So we'll just get into it. And I think that everybody probably can learn something from the experiences that she has to share. So I have Jennifer on here. So can you give a little bit about your background and sort of what drives you? Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. My
Yeah.
name is Jennifer Dawn. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. I would call myself a serial entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 8. I had an apple stand because I thought a lemonade stand was so yesterday. And I absolutely loved my little apple stand. And I kind of fell in love at a very early age with this concept that you could have an idea and you could take some action, and then you could make people happy, and then it turned into money in your hand. And I just loved, how that all worked together. So I went on to start my first official company at 23. It was a software company, and I grew that. Then I had a log home company of all things because I wanted to do something different, which was a massive failure.
Wow.
I know, right? From there,
Log
I went
home.
log home.
How did you do that? Yeah.
I was living in Montana at the time. And so log homes were a very common thing in Montana and not most of the other places in the country, but it seemed like a good idea as all things do at the time. Yeah. And then the real estate market completely crashed, the opposite of what it's doing today. And it was just one of those, fail fast situations, but you learn so much from those things. And let's see. So I became a little disillusioned with being an entrepreneur, and I went into corporate actually and became the software division president for a big $50 million manufacturing firm. And I ran their software division for a few years. And and then from there, I went back out on my own again, and we can certainly dive into what happened there. And eventually it led me to start my coaching practice. And so that's what I do today. I'm a business coach. I have a planner company called Best Planner Ever. And last year, because I'm crazy, I started a marketing agency for my business clients because they were all struggling with their marketing. So I'm like, let's solve this problem. So now I own a marketing agency as well. So There you go. What drives me? Oh my gosh, I love helping business owners. I feel like small business owners have so much power in this world, even though sometimes we may not feel like we do. But when you help a small business owner, they pay it forward just countless times. And so I'm just so driven to help small business owners because I believe in my little one woman contribution. It's how I help to change the world, one business owner at a time.
So how do you think, what do you think an entrepreneur is? And how do you think that's different than, a lot of people say, I do business, right? I got an MBA, I do business, but there's definitely something different than an entrepreneur. So what is the difference there?
For me, I really believe that an entrepreneur just has a different mindset. We look at things differently than some people look at things. And it's not a good or a bad thing at all. It's just a little different perspective, I drive down the street, and if a building is like for rent, my brain goes to work on like, gosh, what kind of a business would like fit in that space? I have a client who's a real estate developer, and he's like, the Dunkin' Donuts on our corner just went out of business. So I'm trying to buy the building. That's an entrepreneur. Like, they look at things, they see those opportunities. And to me, that's what an entrepreneur really, really is they just have a different perspective than maybe somebody who might drive by the Dunkin' Donuts that went out of business and think, well, that's too bad.
Yeah. So they see opportunity where you just see opportunity in places that people may not recognize it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe entrepreneurs also, we tend to be risk takers. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
willing to, take that risk, take the financial risks, assume the liability, whatever it
Yeah.
might be, to be able to kind
It's
of
a big risk.
capitalize on that
It's a big risk.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People think that running a business is something that anybody can do. And it is true. Anybody can do it. But there's a lot of failure there before you get a success, for sure.
Right. Yeah. Anybody can own a business. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But to
Yeah.
stay in business and to be profitable at it, that's a whole nother skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so and the reason why I think that's important is that for you, you're somebody who has a lot of experience with not only running businesses and starting businesses, um, but how to get businesses to a certain level of success. And you've had your own failures. Um, how do you think when I think that is something that I feel like a lot of people, when they're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, they're most afraid of is that failure. How do you address that with somebody saying like, I don't know, I have my list of things that I would love to do. Everybody's got like their book of like amazing ideas that they have that they want to make into a business, but they don't want to do it because they're afraid of failure.
Mhm.
How do you address that with somebody?
Yeah, and it is a very real fear.
Hmm.
And if you, as a business owner, want to be successful, you're going to want to become best friends with fear and failure, because they're going to go hand in hand. And if you don't, you're probably not going to be as successful as you want to be, because failure is wisdom,
Yeah.
failure is knowledge. And if you're not willing to learn, you're not going to learn the things that you need to know in order to be successful. And I don't really even look at it as failure anymore. It's really just, I tried. Did I get the result I was after? Yes or no? If it's a no, sure, I could say that's a failure and I could make it this big, huge thing and tear up my mindset. And but you're
Hmm.
not going to get very far with that kind of with that kind of thinking. And so if it doesn't have the result that you want, you pivot and you try again. And really, that's
Hmm.
all. Even if you look up failure in the dictionary, the result is that, or the definition is that you just didn't get the result that you were after. That's all that it really and truly means. And
Yeah.
so I just think it's very, very important to look at it for what it truly is. I mean, if you're going into it thinking, oh, I'm just going to open this business and be a millionaire right out of the bat,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
probably
This
not
is
going
a
to
great
happen.
idea. I always have people come to me like, I've got this great idea. I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of great ideas out there.
Yes, a lot of
And
great ideas.
yeah, this idea is going to make us millions. I'm like, it possibly could. So
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine that said it's always in being an entrepreneur means learning how to fail up. So
Mm,
every time you fail, you try to fail in an upward fashion so that it helps you in your next endeavor. So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I had somebody, I can't remember his name. He was talking about setting an intention to actually fail more. And so like, if you weren't
Oh.
failing at least 3 times a week at something, you weren't setting that bar high enough. And I was like, wow, that's a very interesting way to really kind of go after it. That if you weren't failing a certain number of times, like you weren't setting
Mhm.
the bar high enough.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, failure um, is a kind of teacher that you just can't find anywhere else. So,
Mhm.
and I don't know. For me, I'm a big proponent of apprenticeships and learning on the job training. I think
Mhm.
you can learn a lot in school and in a classroom setting, but really the experience, there's nothing that beats that. And I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, but I just need to know more so I can prevent failure." And that's just, you need to stumble. It's sort of like trying to learn a language without speaking it. So,
Yeah, I agree completely. And it's not that we want to set ourselves up for failure. That's not the case at all.
yeah.
But we have to be willing to put ourselves out there and be willing to fail, be willing to not get the result that you're after the first time, but then obviously be willing to try again and keep going until you get the result that you're after.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I read about your experiences is that you feel that success is also really correlated with with like physical stress as well. Can you sort of describe that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is nothing new. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who already knew this, but this was a newer discovery for me in the last couple of years. It's not that I didn't believe in physical fitness or taking care of our health. I do. But last year, I found myself where just my physical fitness was just not that good. I had broken a foot. I had a really bad heel spur. It was just like every time I kind of started to get physically fit, I was very fit in high school. And then I had 3 children, and it just my fitness never really, you know, kind of got back to where it was.
Yep.
And then when I would start to train, I would get hurt. Like I said, the broken foot took me well over a year to really recuperate from. So it was always just like one thing after another. And I finally got to a place where I was just like, okay, I'm really tired of this. I need to do something. And so my sister had actually been living in Hawaii for the military, and they were transferred back to the States, thank goodness. And so she was close to me again. But while she was over in Hawaii, she had discovered Spartan Races. And I'd never heard of Spartan Races. I didn't know what the heck they were. I'd always wanted to do like a mud run or something because it sounded like fun, but I had never done it. And so when she came back here, she's like, you know, I really want somebody to do these races with me. And I, of course, raised my hand. I'm like, I don't really know about them, but it sounds crazy. And so I'm game for that. And
but
so
what
last
is a
year,
Spartan? Yeah, what is a Spartan race?
Spartan is obstacle course racing. And so what it is, it's a distance. So you have a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon. So it's a distance, but it's over terrain. So it's not like a flat road race. It's going to be in the mountains. It's going to be in the desert. It's going to be out in terrain. You'll usually have, you know, elevation, you're going to have mud, you're going to cross water. So they're not kidding when it's like you're going to be out in nature for this distance. Yes. The joke
it's
is
not
that
like a triathlon.
No. It's not like a triathlon.
Okay. All right.
It's funny. One of the hardest courses they have is in Killington, Vermont, which is where Spartan was founded. And I was out on one of their courses, and there was a gentleman, you know, going along, and he was like, I do Ironmans and they're easy compared to this, because
really,
when you add the terrain, you know, rocks, going up mountains, down mountains, you add mud, you add water, you add all of these elements. It's not like a flat road race. So you've got distance, you've got terrain, you've got elevation, and then they're going to throw obstacles in there too. So you're going to be, you know, climbing walls. They have a rope climb. They have monkey bars. They have just this thing called rolling mud, where you literally climb down a mud hill. You go through water. You climb up the mud hill, dunk walls. You're going under, you know, water obstacles. So there's all of these obstacles. So in a race, a 5K, you would go, you know, it's supposed to be a 5K, but the joke is that Spartans can't count. So what should be 3.1 miles will usually be, you know, 4 to 5 miles. A 10K will actually usually be 7 to 8 miles. And a beast, which is a half marathon, should be 13 miles. My last one was 17 miles. So they, you know, the distances are relative because, you
for
know,
17 miles and you have to deal with rough terrain and obstacles the entire way.
Yeah. So 17 miles, that race, it took me 8 hours. Now I am slow. I am not fast. I am not a racer. I'm not as fit as this might sound. It took me 8 hours from start to finish. I didn't stop the whole time. And there are about 30 to 35 obstacles on the course. If you can't do an obstacle, I do open. They have way more competitive races where you can't get help. You have to do the obstacle or you get disqualified. I do open, where if you can't do an obstacle, you can walk around. You can do a penalty loop. Sometimes they'll make you do burpees. So that's what I do. I compete in the open races, which are way more fun. People can help each other. It's not, you know, crazy competitive. I mean, the real competitors are amazing at these things, but this is what I signed up for, like never having
Wow.
done one. And I signed up. So I signed up in April and I did a 5K. My very first one, I think I welled up with tears 3 times on the course. I was like, oh, I'm going to cry because it was so overwhelming. And, and business owners can probably appreciate this. One of the hardest things for me was these obstacles like a wall. Like I can't climb an 8-foot wall. I can't go over it. I just physically can't do it. And so I had to ask for help. And it was so hard. Like it literally brought tears to my eyes that I couldn't do something and that I had to ask for help to get over it. But that kind of a mindset, like checking that ego and having to ask for help, but then getting the help and being like, oh, I asked for help and I got it and it was okay. Like that mindset like came right over into my business of just that asking for help and checking the ego. And so it really totally made me cry because I was just like, I don't want to do this, but then you do it. And then you're like, you have this confidence that's like, I did that. I did every minute your mind is saying, just going crazy. You can't do this. It's too hard. Look at everybody who's faster than you. So you got all this mental junk going on and you just have to kind of set it aside to finish. Because when you're out there, it's way easier to keep going forward than it is to try to go backwards or against traffic or, whatever you're in.
Yeah.
So one race, I had committed to do 3. I did my first one. And then what happened is over the course of a year, I ended up doing 12 because
that's like one a month.
12 last year.
Oh,
I know.
In 1 year.
In 1 year. I had not planned on that. I really hadn't. And the races, obviously, I kept working my way up. And so when I started the year, I literally was on the couch and I started my kind of training with walking twice a day. That's really all that I was doing. And by the end of the year, I finished with that the beast race, and it was 17 miles, 8 hours. And so for me, that was just like over the course of a year was this huge transition from in my brain, I was like, I can't go 17 miles. You have to be insane. Like, I can't do that. I did that.
How do you train for something like that? Do you do like a bear crawl for like 3 miles or something like that? I mean, I don't know.
A lot of endurance, a lot of hill climbs, a lot of burpees. There are a lot of training regimens that you can go through. I probably should have trained more this year. That's my goal actually, is to train more than just kind of showing up and being like, hey, I'm going to do this. But the effect that it had on my business was so unexpected because that last year, my business revenues 2.5 times, I almost tripled my revenues. I was close. And not that my business had done well in years past, but we were kind of not stagnant, but kind of in a hold pattern. Like we'd maintain those revenues for a few years. And I was a coach by myself, and, you can only go so far when it's just you. And it was good. But what happened was that the mindset of those Spartan races, when you're out there and you're like, can I really do this? And it's like, oh, I can. And you do it. And that confidence that you get, and then you get energy because you feel better because you're more physically fit. And you bring that into the business, or at least I did. I brought that into my business. And it was just like, if I can go 17 miles, I can do anything. And any challenge in my business just started to become like not a big deal. And that's when I got the epiphany to start the marketing agency. And I started actually expanding, hiring a team, and just really, really growing my business. And that's how I almost tripled my revenues. And I really account that to that tremendous growth in my physical fitness.
Really? It's really fascinating. And I think that's interesting, that connection, because these are not sprints. These are endurance races. And if you think about running a business is an endurance race. It's not like you get some special trophy at the end and then it's all done. I mean, it's a grueling slog before you get to the wherever goal you are getting to. And even when you get to that goal, you still have to give yourself another goal and push towards that. So that's interesting. How did you when did you realize that your physical fitness and your business had some kind of connection?
It was more towards the end of the year that I really, I looked at our revenues, and I
Mhm.
hadn't really looked at the revenues, and I was like, what happened? Like the whole business
Mm.
just kind of exploded. Because once I got the idea about the marketing agency and we started kicking that off, I actually didn't even realize that's what I was creating. A coach on my team, she was like, hey, Jen, you just created a marketing agency in 6 months. I was like, you know what? You're right. We totally did do that, didn't we? Because we were really
Yeah.
focused on solving a problem. It was like we saw our
Mhm.
clients having a problem with their marketing and we wanted to solve the problem. And that's really what I was focused on. And then at the end of the year, when I was like, wait a second, I realized I kind of put those two together, that it was that mindset. When you're out on a Spartan course and you're, way out in nature, and there is no turning back, you got to go forward. There was a particular race in Florida where I thought, oh, it's flat, like they're not going to kill me with elevation, which they didn't do, but they
Yeah.
got you in the swamp. And so
Oh,
they ran us. We start like we're going through like knee-high swamp water, mud and grass and all of this. And then you keep going, and then you keep going. And it was 2 miles that they put us through on this course. And I mean this for real when I'm like, you're in the middle of the swamp. There is nobody coming to rescue you. And you can't really go back because traffic's going in one direction. Like you're committed, you're in it, you're not getting out of this. There's no like exit door. And the mindset that you have to just like put yourself in a mindset and go, it's so similar to having a business, that if
mm.
you're going to be in it and you're going to commit to it, it's not going to be pretty at times, and you're going to have to just go. And so I just felt like that mindset carried over into my business, that any problem that came up, we were like, go, we're going to solve it and we're going to go. Trouble is not going to stop us. And those two things together, it was just a really, really powerful, like, like what happened? Yeah. So from that, I've now created a business retreat. This year, we're kicking off we call them the Unbreakable Retreats. And we're actually pairing 3 days of business coaching. And then on the fourth day, we do a Spartan race together, so that we can
Really?
actually help business owners, help them with their business, but then present them with a physical challenge to help build that confidence and that mindset that you need to survive and succeed in business.
So where's this retreat located?
Our first one is happening in Montana, the first part of May. I don't know when people will listen to this, but it's in Montana, which is supposed to be one of the most scenic Spartan courses that there is. And we've rented a
Oh.
huge log cabin on, 16 private acres. And we are catering that one is for women. And then we
Mhm.
tentatively have another one in West Virginia for men that we
Mhm.
have kind of on the books. We're working to fill that one. And we may do a second one for women in October in New Jersey. There's a great Spartan race there. So we're trying to pick, scenic, beautiful Spartan courses and places people maybe want to go.
Yeah. But I really do like the concept of linking it towards some kind of physical activity. Um, yeah, I train judo and Brazilian jiu-jitsu,
Mhm.
and even now I do it. And one of the reasons that I like doing jiu-jitsu is because um, I get to lose every once in a while. Actually, I get to lose
Mhm.
a lot. So
Mhm.
I'm in, I'm in my 40s. I'm not exactly as strong as everybody in the class, but you get to experience loss. Um, there's nothing flowery about it, but then when you lose, you just keep on going. And in jiu-jitsu, you tap out. You actually have to physically express that you give up, recognize that this is a situation you can't get out of, but then you learn from it and you keep on going. So there's definitely a humility aspect to it. And then even though you have failures that you literally encountered, you have to keep doing it.
Mhm.
And it's very physically grueling because a lot of it is, I was just talking with my wife, um, how I burned so many calories literally lying on my back with a large person literally sitting on top of me. And
Yes.
It's tough. And to learn
Yeah.
how to breathe and to calm yourself in uncomfortable positions, it's a tough thing.
Yeah.
But the Spartan race sounds super interesting, very appealing. So how have you been able to put that together with your consultants? Do you, besides this retreat, I mean, how do you put this concept in people's laps?
Well, here's what we do with my coaching practice is we've actually changed that a bit as well. So originally when I started, I was really a business coach. Primarily, I dealt with life issues, but it was just things that would come up in coaching. And
Mhm.
so now with my coaching practice, we actually have on our team life coaches, health coaches, and we kind of customize a coaching package for our business owner clients that includes the mindset piece, the emotional, spiritual piece, but also the
Mm.
health and fitness piece. So we've really kind of taken it into our day-to-day coaching, because if you don't have the energy to show up and like make the changes, if you don't
Yeah.
have that energy to change your mindset, to get out of your comfort zone, to be like, I failed and it's okay, because you're sick, you know, you don't have that energy, you don't feel good, it's just going to make growing the business so much harder. So
Mhm.
that's why we do bring it into our coaching, because you need energy, you need vitality, you need passion, so that you
Mhm.
can make these changes, get out of your comfort zone, you know, do the hard things that are going to be required to have a successful business.
I like that. Um, and you also have a planner that is included in this or something. Like you have a very, I know you're known for creating a very unique planner. How does that incorporate into your system?
Yeah, absolutely. So I launched the planner in 2015. It's called Best Planner Ever. And honestly, I just created it for myself because I couldn't find a
Mhm.
planner out there that really, I didn't want a massive to-do list. I wanted to work from a prioritized to-do list. I wanted the spiritual stuff. I love my affirmations, my vision. I wanted to make sure I was taking care of my health, my fitness. And I also was I am a mother of three and have a business. So I needed, you
Right.
know, the time blocking. I needed all of those pieces and I couldn't find them in one planner. And so that's why I created it. I started using it for myself. And I said to my husband one day, this is the best planner ever. And he was like, it is? And I was like, yes, it is. And then I said, I'm going to call it that. And he's like, you are? I was like, I am. And then I looked and the domain was available, bestplannerever.com. So
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, there you go. It's a sign from the universe. And so that's really how the name came about, was me joking with my husband and him thinking I was insane, that I was going to actually call it that. And then when the domain was free, I was like, well, that's the end of that. And off I am. I'm off to the races. So that's the best planner ever. We also have a journal that goes along with it as well. Obviously, as a coach, we do some really good detailed journaling exercises. And so we have the journal and the planner now.
Oh, I think journaling and planning are super important. I keep a journal myself every day, and I've written in my journal, I think I have on entry for almost every day for the last 20 plus years, which is a lot.
Wow. Oh my
So,
goodness.
well, for me, it's important. Partly for me, it's a record for my kids and other posterity, but also it is talking about mental and spiritual, there's something to reflecting on your day that I
Hmm.
think is really important. It's not like my journals are works of art per se. I mean, they're really boring. And my wife has looked at them. She's like, "You have such a boring day. And you just literally list off the things that you do and your thoughts about it." I'm like, "Yeah, that's pretty much what I do."
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like it's good to break it down.
Yeah.
I really like also how you really make an effort to make these planners or the way that you develop your system in a much more holistic. Most of the time I hear consultants, they just sort of break down their business and what kind of things are good and bad. But you really value that spiritual and that physical part that's sort of unique. What why did you start to bring in those other aspects into helping somebody with their business?
Yeah, such a great question, because I've had clients come to me and say, well, my last business coach said I wasn't allowed to talk about my personal life, where it's business.
Oh,
Or my favorite one is my client said, my business coach said I had to sit at my desk and pay the price. I'm like, oh my
what?
God, you got to be kidding me with this stuff. But truly,
The price.
I know, right? And I was like, you will never hear me say that. But those things were important to me. It was important to me to have a whole life. It's important to me to, and I came from a childhood of a lot of abuse, and I had to do a lot of healing work around that. And that whole process of healing those hurts from our past was so therapeutic. And I could see how, oh, I could go out and do more when I could heal all of this stuff, and everybody's carrying something. And so it was really important to me for my life to have all of these aspects, come together. And so that's why I've always brought it into the coaching, but now I've just kind of formalized that a little bit more with now, an extension of the team where, when a business owner comes to us, we want to make sure you have support for your emotional health, your physical, your mindset, and your business, because now you're going to be positioned to be way more successful in business than somebody who is burying, distracting themselves, sabotaging themselves, doing all these other things so they don't have to deal with this stuff. You're going to be way more successful than that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's super interesting. I think that one of the things that is definitely unique about entrepreneurs is that, as opposed to, say, somebody who has a regular 9-to-5 job, is that they carry their business home with them. Their business is part of their personality, part of their life. And so, yeah, you're because every business owner knows that business keeps going even when after you leave the business, right? At night, you can get calls in the middle of the night, or something comes up in your mind like, oh my gosh, I should have done this. Your mind never stops thinking about it. So your personal life and your business life start to meld together, and making sure that your personal life is in check can definitely influence that business life as well.
Yeah. And for so many, and it's happened to me too, the business sort of like takes the, it's like the monster that just sort of takes over everything.
Yeah.
Because think about your livelihood. Yeah, right. Your livelihood, your money, very important things are tied up in this business. So it's so easy to justify why I'm going to work around the clock. I'm not going to take the family vacation. I can't go to my kids, whatever. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to prepare a healthy meal, right? It's because this business just sort of takes over everything. And it's a perfectly legitimate reason why we're then going to sacrifice ourselves, our souls, our sanity. And this is one of the things we really help our clients do. And I've had to learn how to do is that, yes, we want to serve through our businesses at our highest capacity, but we want to do it without sacrificing ourselves and our lives. And finding that balance, I think, is so, so important. And if we can help business owners do that, find true balance between the two, they're just going to be able to serve through their businesses so much better.
Yeah. It's hard as an entrepreneur because sometimes you feel like the business is running your life, not the business should be supporting your life. And it's tough to make that separation. I struggle with it all of the time. And you also have a book as well. Can you explain your book?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to share really quickly. One of the things one of my coaches said to me that kind of kicked my butt in that area, because I found myself working just way too many hours for perfectly good reasons. And when he was helping me set my goals for the year, he said, all right, Jennifer, you've got on your list that you want to work, fewer hours every week and, on your goals. Great. He said, but here's the deal. You're not in the mindset of a person who works fewer hours. And I was like, oh, that was killing me, because he was right. He was right. And I'm all about mindset. And that really helped me so much to kind of shift it, because he's right. I wasn't in the mindset of somebody who worked less. I wasn't in the mindset of somebody who had true work-life balance. And so I had to change my mindset. I had to get into the mindset of somebody who worked less, who had the balance. And that's what kind of helped me to get over that. And I got to tell you, it wasn't easy. It was uncomfortable, but that really helped me a lot of like, if you're listening to this and you're like, you come up with all the reasons why you need to work all these crazy hours and the business is taking everything over. It's just because you're not in the mindset of an entrepreneur who doesn't allow that to happen. And if you can start to shift that mindset, it'll help you make that shift in your life, but it's entirely possible.
Wow. So you're like talking about two actually unique perspectives. You have one with the Spartan race, that idea of you need to be aggressively pushing to be able to reach your goal. But at the same time, don't let that drive overtake your entire life. And that's a balance that's hard to make.
Yeah, it is. But I used that same, we'll call it Spartan mindset, when I was like, I got to work less and have work-life balance. I put my mind on that. I was like, oh, let me just use that mindset to aggressively pursue working less hours. But you work less hours, but it doesn't mean the work goes away. The work is still there. Right. It means that you have to work more strategically. You have to literally be more productive with the time to get more done in less hours. Delegate, obviously, build your team, do these kinds of things, but they are entirely possible. But it's the same mindset to aggressively actually go after the better life. Then sometimes it's easy to think, oh, I'm going to be aggressive about this, which means I'm going to work longer and harder hours. And for me, for most of my life, that is what I did. But when I made this shift, it was like, oh no, that's not what it means. I can actually work fewer hours, but do more in those hours. And I kind of had to click into that mindset so that I could then have the work-life balance, but it doesn't mean I'm not aggressively going after everything I want in my life, for my business, my physical, my family time, all of that.
That's good. Sometimes I know from a business owner's perspective, when you leave the business and sometimes you feel guilty, but I like the idea, and I feel like this is what I'm learning from you, is that your goals should be, part of it obviously is to make the business to grow, but your ultimate goal should be how your life is. And you can have life goals that the business supports along with other things in your life. So the business is a part of it, along with your spiritual and your physical goals, and your emotional goals. I think that's definitely makes you a more well-rounded, happier person, instead of just that person that does this, and a lot of people know that person that does that one thing. But to be well-rounded, that's probably how you're going to end up to be happier in the long run, instead of burned out and angry.
That is what's going to happen if you just work yourself into the ground. And it's easy for me because I'm not like a big, conglomerate. I'm not a huge corporation. I'm a person, but I can look at my business revenues and I can tell, oh yeah, I was going through that, whatever, really hard time, and my business revenues went down. And oh, look, this is when I was doing this and my business revenues went up. And I can see a direct correlation to my revenues and my emotional state. And whatever I was going through or whatever place I was in has had a direct effect on my bottom line, on my revenues. So this is where, I'm not surprised that I really, really took my physical fitness to a whole new level, and the business almost tripled as a result of it.
Wow. So is this how you created your book, The Joy Guide, is trying to help people find balance in their life?
Yeah, I wrote the book several years ago. I'm not even sure which year I put it out in. You just get inspired and you're like, I'm going to put this out into the world, but it's called The Joy Guide, Finding Your Joy in a World of Crap. And a lot of it came from clients. That's the name of the book.
You've got interesting titles and of things for sure. That's good. I like that.
It's so funny because I don't really think of myself as a person who can come up with like cutesy, clever things. I see other companies and people and they're like, oh, that was such a great name for their program. But I just come up with whatever, pops up and we run with it. But I worked with so many clients who, they want to find their joy, but you've got to be willing to do some work and some deep work to get to that joy. It's there. It's not lost. It's right there. But a lot of us just have, I'll call it like residue, a lot of residue of things that we carry and negative emotional things. And we just push that stuff down and it kind of creates this residue that just really pushes the joy down. It's there. But if you can kind of, get some of that stuff off, your joy will just start to flow naturally. And so that's really what the book is about, is helping people to shed some of those layers, as I had to do through years of trauma therapy from my earlier childhood abuse. And so I just wanted to help other people do the same. It's like, sometimes it's easy to see somebody and they're happy and they're smiling and they think, oh, nothing bad ever happened to them. But I could tell you a whole long list of really rough things that I went through and I healed from. And because I set my intention and I made the choice, I'm going to heal from this and I'm going to move on and I'm going to use it to help other people. I was able to do so. And I just wanted to, share what I learned along the way with others who decided that, yeah, you know what, I want to heal too. And I want to find my joy. So that's really where the book came from.
I like that. And my experience with people who have dealt with difficult things is that even though they feel that they've healed, there's still sometimes a scar that's there, and it can cause some discomfort, but almost creates reminders for them that adds to their wisdom of things to do as they move forward. So, yeah. So
absolutely.
How do people get in, like learn more from you or follow you online? Do you have a website or social media? How do people follow you?
Absolutely. So the best way is to go, I have 3 websites, but we'll just share one today, which is jenniferdawncoaching.com. That's my primary website. There's a contact form there. Obviously there's links to all the social profiles, but jenniferdawncoaching.com or bestplannerever.com, either one of those. You can find me at and connect with me on social media. I'm on all the main platforms.
I know it's so confusing. I have, I think 7 or 8 different social media platforms on my cell phone. Sometimes I get confused which one to check. Yeah. So yeah, it's tough. Also, can you, how do you find more about your retreat and your Spartan race? Is that on your website?
Yeah, absolutely. So on jenniferdawncoaching.com, at the menu on the top, there's one that says the retreat. And when you click on that, it'll go to details about the retreat. I believe the book and the planner and everything are also on Jennifer Dawn Coaching. We're in the process of redesigning the whole thing. I'm pretty sure it's on the current site. I know it'll be on the new one. No, it's all there on Jennifer Dawn Coaching, of all the things that we're doing and love doing out in the world to help business owners.
Yeah. But it sort of sounds like your coaching style is a little bit unique. You do you do mainly business, but you have like a life coaching aspect to it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so funny. Me and my team, most of my team is female, and we all have a joke that, like, if you come to one of our Zoom calls, we might not have our hair done. Our makeup probably won't be on, but make no mistake, we have come to get things done. We're not here to play. Like, we are serious about growing the business. but we're also serious about, work-life balance, having that full life. So that's our joke, is like, we don't care about hair, makeup, just show up however you're going to show up, but come ready to, make a change and want to do the work, because that's what we're here to help you do in all areas.
Wow. So the mental state, you really are hitting hard on that mental state, and come with the mind ready to learn and to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Jennifer, for this has been a fun conversation. We definitely have to do this again. I learned some interesting things about the link between physical activity and like success, which is, you're right. Sounds like something that should be pretty common sense, but I feel like it's something that gets definitely neglected today.
It does. It's funny, since I've kind of made the connection, I've come across some resources where they're talking about it. And I'm like, why had I not heard about this before? But what is it they say, that when you're ready, the information finds you. And now I'm like, oh, I've made that connection. I see that it's real. And now I've started to find more information that's like, oh yeah, this is a very real thing, but kind of had to discover it on my own. So the more we can get the word out to everybody else, it's like, hey guys, guess what? These two things are actually linked.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you, Jennifer. And thank you, everybody, for listening to our Vital Signs podcast. Again, if you want to learn more about Sunrider, our company here, you can check us out at www.sunrider.com, or you can communicate with your local independent business owner for more details about Sunrider. Again, thanks, Jennifer, and we'll see you guys next time. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. This is Dr. Reuben Chen, and I'll see you next time.